Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we discuss about thalamus. Thalamus is the major portion of the diencephalon. It is the major portion of the diencephalon. Thalamus on each side is an ovoid mass of grey matter. Thalamus on each side is an ovoid mass of grey matter. Thalamus of one side is connected to the thalamus of the other side by a band of grey matter, which is called interthalamic adhesion or interthalamic connection. So thalamus on one side is connected to the thalamus of the other side by a band of grey matter that is called interthalamic adhesion or interthalamic connection. On the superior surface of thalamus, there is a layer of white matter which is called stratum zunae. Stratum zunae is a layer of white matter on the superior surface of the thalamus. On the lattice of thalamus, there is a layer of white matter, which is called external medullary lamina. So external medullary lamina is the layer of white matter on the lateral surface of the thalamus. Right? Medial surface of the thalamus forms part of the lateral wall of the third ventricle. So medial surface of the thalamus, it forms part of the lateral wall of the third ventricle. The lateral surface of the thalamus is separated from the lenticular nucleus by the internal capsule. So the lateral surface of the thalamus is separated from the lenticular nucleus by the internal capsule. In the thalamus, there is a Y-shaped internal medullary lamina. So Y-shaped internal medullary lamina, it divides thalamus into three parts. So three parts of the thalamus, and thalamus is divided into three parts by a Y-shaped layer of white matter, which is called the internal medullary lamina. So these three parts are anterior, medial, and lateral. So anterior, medial, and lateral are the three parts of the thalamus. Now in these three parts of thalamus, nuclei are present. So nuclei are present in these three parts of thalamus. I'll discuss these nuclei and then the connections of these nuclei. Now, anterior part of the thalamus, anterior part, it contains anterior nucleus. It contains anterior nucleus. Now the anterior nucleus has connection with the mammillary bodies, cingulate gyrus, and hypothalamus. So anterior nucleus present in the anterior part has connections with the mammillary bodies, cingulate gyrus and hypothalamus These are the connections of the anterior part or anterior nucleus in the anterior part. Now we come to the medial part. Medial part contains a large dorsomedial nucleus. In the medial part, it contains a large dorsomedial nucleus. Large dorsomedial nucleus. Its connections connected with the prefrontal cortex, hypothalamus, and other thalamic nuclei. So connected with the prefrontal cortex of the frontal lobe, with the hypothalamus and other thalamic nuclei. This was about the dorsomedial nucleus, the main nucleus in the medial part. Now we come to the lateral part of the thalamus. The lateral part of thalamus contains two groups of nuclei. So the lateral part, two groups of nuclei, dorsal group and the ventral group. Dorsal group and the ventral group. This is the dorsal group and this is the ventral group. So I am discussing about the lateral part of thalamus having two groups of nuclei, the dorsal group and the ventral group. Now in the dorsal group, the dorsal group includes lateral dorsal nucleus, lateral posterior nucleus, and pulvinar. So the dorsal group of nuclei in the lateral part, these include lateral dorsal nucleus, lateral posterior nucleus, and pulvinar. Now their connections are with the cingulate gyrus, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. Cingulate gyrus, parietal, temporal, and occipital lobes, and also with the other thalamic nuclei. So the dorsal group in the lateral part of the thalamus, their connections are with the cingulate gyrus, with the parietal, temporal, occipital lobes, and other thalamic nuclei. Now we come to the ventral group of nuclei in the lateral part. So ventral group of nuclei in the lateral part. And these include ventral anterior nucleus, ventral lateral nucleus, and ventral posterior nucleus. So ventral anterior, ventral lateral, ventral posterior nuclei are present in the ventral group of nuclei in the lateral part. Ventral anterior nucleus has connections with the reticular formation, corpus striatum, substantia nigra, and also with the premotor cortex. So ventral anterior nucleus has connections with the reticular formation, corpus striatum, substantia nigra, and also with the premotor cortex. ventral lateral nucleus. Ventral lateral nucleus has connection with the reticular formation, corpus striatum, substantia nigra, red nucleus, cerebellum. Red nucleus and cerebellum. Also connection with the premotor and motor cortex. So ventral lateral nucleus has connection with the reticular formation, corpus striatum, substantia nigra, red nucleus, cerebellum, and with the premotor and motor cortex. Now we come to the ventral posterior nucleus. Ventral posterior nucleus we discussed in the sensory tracts, and you know ventral posterior nucleus got two parts. So two parts of the ventral posterior nucleus, lateral part and medial part. Lateral part and medial part. Lateral part is VPL. Lateral part is VPL, that is ventral posterolateral nucleus. So VPL is ventral posterolateral nucleus. And VPM, the other part, ventral posteromedial nucleus. So VPM is ventral posteromedial nucleus. VPM, ventral posterolateral nucleus, it receives the two main sensory tracts through medial lemniscus and spinal lemniscus. Through medial lemniscus and spinal lemniscus, VPL receives the two main sensory tracts, the dorsal column, medial lemniscal system, and also the spinothalamic tract. VPM, ventral posteromedial nucleus. Ventral posteromedial nucleus. It receives nerve fibers from the taste pathway, gustatory pathway, taste pathway, and from the trigeminal pathway. So VPM, ventral posteromedial nucleus, it receives nerve fibers from the gustatory or taste pathway and the trigeminal pathway. So this was about the nuclei in the ventral group in the lateral part of the thalamus. So these are the main nuclei in the anterior part, medial part, and the lateral part of the thalamus. Now there are certain miscellaneous nuclei in the thalamus. Miscellaneous nuclei in the thalamus. These include intralaminar nuclei, midline nuclei, reticular nuclei, medial geniculate body, and lateral geniculate body, Intralaminar nuclei are present in the internal medullary lamina. So intralaminar nuclei are present in the internal medullary lamina. What are the connections of the intralaminar nuclei? Receive nerve fibers. Intralaminar nuclei receive nerve fibers from the spinothalamic tract, trigeminal pathway, reticular formation, and also connection with the cerebral cortex and other thalamic nuclei. I am telling about the connections of the intralaminar nuclei, receive nerve fibers from the spinothalamic tract, trigeminal pathway, reticular formation, and also connection with the cerebral cortex and other thalamic nuclei. Now the midline nuclei are present in the interthalamic adhesion or connection. Midline nuclei are present in the interthalamic adhesion or connection. Connections of the midline nuclei, connections are with the reticular formation, and other thalamic nuclei. Reticular formation and other thalamic nuclei. Right? Then are the reticular nuclei. Reticular nuclei are sandwiched between external medullary lamina and posterior limb of the internal capsule. Reticular nuclei are sandwiched between the external medullary lamina and the posterior limb of the internal capsule. Reticular nuclei has connections with reticular formation and the cerebral cortex. Reticular formation and the cerebral cortex. The other nucleus is medial geniculate body. Medial geniculate body. You know, medial geniculate body is a part of the auditory pathway. Is a part of the auditory pathway. It receives nerve fibers from inferior colliculus. It receives nerve fibers from inferior colliculus. It receives nerve fibers mainly from the contralateral side. It receives nerve fibers mainly from the contralateral side. Some fibers from the same side, mainly from the contralateral side. From the medial geniculate body, nerve fibers arise, and these nerve fibers are called auditory radiation. So nerve fibers arising from medial geniculate body are the auditory radiation. These pass through the internal capsule and terminate in the temporal lobe in the primary auditory area. So these terminate in the primary auditory area, area 41 in the superior temporal gyrus. So fibers arising from the medial geniculate body are called auditory radiation. These pass through the internal capsule to terminate in the superior temporal gyrus, and that is the primary auditory area, Brodmann's area 41. Now we come to the lateral geniculate body. Lateral geniculate body, you know, lateral geniculate body is a part of the visual pathway. It is a part of the visual pathway. It receives nerve fibers from the optic tract. Receives nerve fibers from the optic tract. So these nerve fibers are from the ipsilateral temporal half and contralateral nasal half of the retina. So I told you that the lateral geniculate body receives nerve fibers from the optic tract. These nerve fibers are ipsilateral temporal nerve fibers and contralateral nasal nerve fibers. Right? So from the lateral geniculate body, nerve fibers arise, and these nerve fibers are the optic radiation. Optic radiation, these pass through the internal capsule to terminate into the primary visual area in the occipital lobe, that is Brodmann's area 17. So nerve fibers arising from the lateral geniculate body, these are optic radiation. These pass through the internal capsule to terminate into the primary motor area, Brodmann area 17 in the occipital lobe. So this was about the lateral geniculate body, a part of the visual pathway. So this was about the nuclei and parts of the thalamus. Now we come to the function of the thalamus. Functions of the thalamus. Thalamus is the principal sensory relay station. It is the principal sensory relay station. Principal sensory relay station. Thalamus receives impulses of all the somatic and special sensations. So thalamus is the principal sensory relay station. It receives impulses of all the somatic and special sensations. Even the new olfactory pathway, it passes through the thalamus. Even the new olfactory pathway, it passes through the thalamus. So keep in mind, it is the principal sensory relay station. It receives nerve impulses of all the somatic and special sensations, including the olfactory impulses. Thalamus is the subcortical center for pain. It is the subcortical center for the pain. But when there is region of sensory cortex, pain sensation is least affected. So pain is least affected when there is a region of the sensory cortex. So thalamus is the subcortical center for the pain. Next function is thalamus is connected to the reticular activating system. It is connected to the reticular activating system. So it has got important role in the maintenance of wakefulness or alertness. So thalamus is involved in the maintenance of wakefulness or alertness. How? It is connected to the reticular activating system. Thalamus, next function is that thalamus has connections with the basal ganglia, cerebellum, and cerebral cortex. So thalamus has connection with the basal ganglia, cerebellum, and motor cortex. We studied the connections of the basal ganglia. There, you studied the role of the ventral anterior thalamic nucleus and ventral lateral thalamic nucleus connected to the basal ganglia and then to the motor cortex. Right? So basal ganglia are connected to the thalamus. Cerebellum is connected to thalamus. Similarly, thalamic nuclei are connected to the motor cortex. So thalamus is involved in the control of the motor activity. Thalamus is involved in the control of the motor activity because of the connection with the basal ganglia, cerebellum, and the motor cortex. It has got role in the control of the motor activity. Thalamus, especially anterior thalamic nuclei, are a part of limbic system. So thalamus is also involved in the control of behavior and emotion. Thalamus is also involved in the memory process. also involved in the memory process. So in the memory process, there is involvement of the thalamus. So this was about the functions of the thalamus. Now, briefly about the thalamic syndrome. Thalamic syndrome. Thalamic syndrome is due to degeneration of postroventral part of the thalamus. It is due to degeneration of postroventral part of the thalamus, resulting from thrombosis of a branch of posterior cerebral artery, resulting from thrombosis of a branch of the posterior cerebral artery. Now, in thalamic syndrome, there is degeneration of ventral posterior nucleus. There is degeneration of ventral posterior nucleus, the VPL, VPN. So there is degeneration of ventral posterior nucleus, but anterior and medial nuclei remains intact. Anterior and medial nuclei, these remain intact. In thalamic syndrome, what are the features? Loss of somatic sensations on the contralateral side. Loss of somatic sensations on the contralateral side. There is also ataxia. There is also ataxia due to loss of proprioceptive impulses. There is also ataxia due to loss of proprioceptive impulses. There is ataxia. Recovery may occur after, say, weeks to months. After weeks to months, recovery occurs. And sensation recover. Sensation recover. But there may be increased sensitivity to pain, increased sensitivity to touch. Right? So these sensations become unpleasant. So pain becomes unpleasant. And there may be some pleasant sensation. There may be some pleasant sensation. So because of increased sensitivity to touch, it may give a pleasant sensation. Now, in thalamic syndrome, there is thalamic hand. Thalamic hand. So in thalamic syndrome, a special feature is thalamic hand, and the hand position is that there is pronation and flexion at the wrist. So on the opposite hand, so the region is on the left side. On the right side, there is flexion and pronation at the wrist. Flexion and pronation at the wrist. Flexion at metacarpophalangeal joint. Flexion at metacarpophalangeal joint. And extension at interphalangeal joints. Extension at interphalangeal joints. And there may be slow movements of fingers. There may be slow movements of fingers. So in thalamic hand, which is a feature in thalamic syndrome, there is flexion and pronation at the wrist. Pronation, flexion at the wrist. Flexion at the metacarpophalangeal joint. And then extension at interphalangeal joints. And there may be slow movement of fingers. Now in these patients there may be personality changes. So personality changes in these patients. So these these are the features of the thalamic syndrome due to degeneration of postoventral portion of thalamus resulting from thrombosis in the branch of posterior cerebral artery. Thank you.